Welcome back, Defenders. Here's an interesting headline. Zelensky is saying that Ukraine is ready to spend between 30 and 50 billion to buy a US defense package. Zelensky said Ukraine is prepared to allocate tens of billions of dollars for US military equipment, particularly air defense systems that can serve as a long-term security guarantee. We have communicated to the American side a large package that we want to buy in one form or another. This is our format for how we will pay for it. Give us the package. We will pay for it. Zelensky said, adding that Ukraine is flexible about the payment methods. You want it in this fund, or we can pay you directly. We don't care. So this is Ukraine telling America, we would like to buy air defense systems, artillery shells, Gimler's rounds, whatever. How can Donald Trump and the United States say no if Ukraine is offering them cash? The United States wasn't preparing for this. The United States pulls its presence from key Ukraine arms aid hub in Poland. The United States is removing troops from a crucial Polish logistics hub that handles 95% of military aid to Ukraine, citing cost savings of tens of millions of dollars. It took a while to build this infrastructure to supply Ukraine with military assistance. There's these logistics hubs that distribute it, and the United States is closing up shop. They're not even pretending like they plan to stick around. This is the directives of Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, and I'm sure Elon Musk gave this advice as well. But if Ukraine is willing to spend tens of billions of dollars for American products, do the Europeans have to deliver them? This is so short-sighted. This is so foolish of the United States. But where's the money coming from? Ukraine could potentially be getting this money from the EU and other partners. But if Donald Trump wants to refuse the sale of American weapons to Ukraine, he can use this mineral deal as an excuse. Zelensky states that Ukraine is ready for a mineral deal with the United States, but only on equal terms. You want 50-50, let's invest 50-50. Zelensky shares thoughts on parity in the resource deal. The way this deal is framed now, Zelensky's not going to sign it. We don't have the latest details if there's been any amendments or changes. But Zelensky has criticized the U.S. Treasury Secretary's approach, saying he felt like Scott Bessent was treating him like the leader of a third-rate country. I'm assuming it's okay for Zelensky to criticize the Treasury Secretary. You just can't criticize Trump. And we don't know what's going to happen at all in the next week or two. I mean, that's kind of the theme of Trump's presidency. He doesn't even know what's going to happen or what he's going to do. And I think Zelensky is just looking for a political shift, somewhere, somehow, where he can get out of this horrendously bad deal that Trump is trying to impose on Ukraine. And this week has been a pretty good distraction. Trump puts 90-day pause on reciprocal tariffs, minus those on China. A 10% basis tariff remains on all countries, including Ukraine, but now China faces 125% tariffs, and Russia, Belarus, and North Korea remain the only countries to escape Trump's wrath. Stocks jumped about 9% yesterday. That was yesterday. The US stock market was up 9% on news that Donald Trump was giving up on his insane tariff strategy. But today, the markets are back down. So this is choppy waters, lots of huge swings. I mean, a 3.5% drop in the US stock market is still huge. But I have to show you the technical charts. This is what I've been looking at least weekly, for the last 6 years. These red lines have been on this chart for years. I have not added or removed anything recently. And the United States stock market has been in a clear uptrend since 2019. This is the COVID crash, extreme pessimism. This is we were basically doing quantitative easing here in the United States. All asset classes inflated. There was then a sell-off in 2022, but the economy under Joe Biden the last 2 years was genuinely good. Inflation was down, GDP growth was up, unemployment was low. And then we can zoom in to the last 2 or 3 weeks, and this is all Donald Trump. Nobody else can be blamed except him. So I've been staring at this chart, and we're well below the 200-day moving average. And I knew that as soon as we got close to this line, there was going to be support. We're still in the up channel. I understand there's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of craziness, but I do have to tell people, I have to be honest with you. Every time there's been a stock market crash, the stock market has recovered 100% of the time. In the 150-year history of the US stock market, every time it's gone down, it's gone back up. There is a 100% recovery rate. So long term, there's nothing to worry about. Short term, if you've been using leverage or you've been trading options or if you've been borrowing money on margin, then yes, those are the people in trouble. So it's going to be choppy. There's going to be wild swings up and down as investors are uncertain. A lot of people are just pulling their money completely out of the market and saying, I can't see these wild swings of 9% or 4% day to day. So why did Trump back down? And there's a long list of reasons. Let me give you a couple of them. The first one is Trump's own supporters were openly criticizing him. This is billionaire Bill Ackman. He supports Trump, and he was publicly criticizing what Trump was doing. Our stock market is down, bond yields are up, and the dollar is declining. These are not the markers of a successful policy. I am receiving an increasing number of emails and texts from small business people I do business with or have invested in, expressing fear that they will not be able to pass on their increased costs to their customers and will suffer severely negative consequences. Tariffs are a tax that importers, Americans, pay. This would make everything worse. And the price of eggs are up. J.D. Vance went to a grocery store. Donald Trump went to a grocery store. They campaigned that on day one, they would bring back down the price of eggs. And the price of eggs yesterday just hit an all-time high here in the United States. This is stupid. And Trump's approval rating is tanking, and it's really bad amongst young people. These are Gen Zers, 18 to 29. And when Trump took office, he had a positive, favorable rating with young people, 18 to 29-year-olds. He was plus 11. Today, he is now negative 30. Negative 30. This is a 41% swing in just 3 months amongst young people. Millennials also hate Trump, as well as boomers, people over the age of 65. The only class of Americans that still have a positive approval rating of Trump are Gen Xers, 45 to 64-year-olds. This is the Joe Rogan generation. And this is going to continue getting worse every single day until Donald Trump is removed from office. He can't help himself. He's never going to change. Nobody can moderate him. Nobody can control him. Let me show you some more clips. This is a farmer. I don't know the location, but farmers across America are now flying their Trump flags upside down because of input costs, tariffs on Canada. Potash is now 25% more expensive, as well as reciprocal tariffs. Other countries placing tariffs on our exports. There are a lot of American farmers, small farms, family farms, that are going to go bankrupt this year because Donald Trump is destroying the economy.
The funniest shit ever. So this guy, for years, who always flown those Trump flags, well, now he turned the motherfucker upside down because Trump is fucking all the farmers. Look at this shit. I hope he fucks them all up, man. This is between coming from Helena and going to Little Rock. And now all of a sudden...
Okay, so this is in Arkansas. He said Little Rock. Farmers are pissed off, and Donald Trump is ignoring all of these people because he's convinced tariffs on everyone is the greatest economic policy of all time. And this is tone deaf. Americans are terrified about losing their small businesses, losing their homes, losing their jobs, losing their farms. And Trump goes to these fancy dinners, schmoozing with billionaires, saying, countries are calling him up and kissing his ass and begging him on their knees to make a deal. But Trump just then lifted all the tariffs without announcing any deals. I think aside from Zimbabwe, Trump didn't announce a single deal as far as this tariff gambit. So this is not 4D chess, 5D chess occurring. Trump is an idiot, and there's no plan. There's absolutely no plan. And as an ethical person, as an American, I am mortified by the actions of my government. Here's a thought I want to share with you. There's just something deeply sickening in seeing the nation accounting for 25% of the global economy, despite having just 4% of the population, claim they've been ripped off by the men and women working themselves to the bone for $3 a day in Lesotho and Cambodia. The United States is one of the wealthiest per capita countries in the world, and for Donald Trump to take the stage every day and scream, "The rest of the world is taking advantage of us. The rest of the world is screwing us." The people of Madagascar would love to buy stuff from the United States, but they can't. It's a poor country. They don't have the money. The reason why there is a trade imbalance with smaller and poorer countries is because Americans have money to buy their products, and they don't have money to buy our very high quality, expensive exports. To have no sympathy for other countries in the world that are trying to develop, that are trying to stabilize, that are trying to improve the lives of their ordinary people, this is just extremely tone deaf. And the rest of the world should rightfully hate us. Because it's not just about trade imbalances. The United States has converted into a service economy as well as a financial empire. Even though we have trade imbalances with poor countries, they still send us money. They still send their teenagers to our best universities. They vacation here, they trade here, they come here for business. They send their money here to invest. That's why we have the best stock market in the world. People around the world want to invest in the S&P 500 because we perform and we have growth. But Donald Trump is so stupid. He can't see this. He can't understand the basics of international trade or global economies. And the language coming out of the White House, this is horrifying. Do not retaliate or you will be rewarded. All caps, no punctuation. This is just how my government now speaks to everybody. Do not retaliate, and you will be rewarded. Donald Trump sounds and acts like King Xerxes from the movie 300, promising wealth and power to anyone who just bends the knee and submits to America's grandness or power or prestige. I don't even know how to talk about all this, guys. This is so insane. But here's the real reason. Why did Donald Trump finally cave on Liberation Day, his tariff strategy? And it's because the US borrows money by selling treasury bonds. Who buys these treasury bonds? And it's mostly China, Japan, and the European Union. Overnight, there was a sudden spike in holders dumping their bonds. Trump picked a fight with our creditors, and our creditors just won. So here is the 30-year yield rate for America's debt. It was much higher in the 1970s and 80s, and this is a good thing when the debt we pay to foreign bondholders goes down over time. But since COVID, it's been going back up. And there was a huge spike over the last 3 days. Half a percentage point in both the 10-year and the 30-year. What does this mean? It means every time the United States has to refinance its national debt, it becomes more expensive this year. The U.S. national debt is currently $36 trillion. So the difference between 4% and 5% when we refinance our debt to foreign creditors, 1% is $300 billion. If the 30-year fixed rate yield jumps from 4 to 5 in 3 days, which is what it basically did, that is an additional $300 billion in interest the United States would have to pay. That's an oversimplification. Obviously, the debt is refinanced with bond auctions at different times, but this is very concerning, very alarming. And when bond yields go up, all other asset classes go down. Your real estate, your crypto, your gold, because this is the risk-free rate every investor has to weigh against. So this is the ETF SCHQ. This is the long-term U.S. Treasury. And the dividend yield on long-range debt is 4.5%, approaching 5%. So this is something that any wealthy individual or nation can do. Why would you risk your money in stocks or equities when you can just put it in bonds? Wealthy people have a different mindset than the average retail investor. A younger guy like myself, who's not as wealthy, I can tolerate risk. I can trade options, I can trade crypto. Like, younger people have a tolerance. But when you're already a billionaire, why would you risk that? You only need to get insanely wealthy once in your lifetime. And once you have $1 billion, if you just put it in 30-year treasury yields earning you 5% a year, you stay rich and you beat inflation. 5% on $1 billion is, what was that, 50 million bucks that the government is paying you in interest a year on your bond holdings. So somebody got to Trump. Somebody explained to him the real risk in treasury yields spiking, and the rumor was it was Japan. Japan was dumping their bonds on the market, causing yields to go up. And that was it. Somebody called Trump and explained to him this would bankrupt America this year if all of our foreign creditors kept dumping bonds, so he backed down. And Trump's getting absolutely destroyed on social media. Let me share a couple of these posts with you. This tariff pause is going to be very bad for the factory I started building last week. Trump's entire team was saying we need these tariffs to bring back manufacturing to the United States. But in the last 3 months, it's on again, off again, on again, off again. What American company is going to put up serious investment to begin production today of new factories when Trump just folds after a couple days every single time? Donald Trump and the penguins of the herd in McDonald Islands went eyeball to eyeball, and Trump just blinked. We put tariffs on an uninhabited island full of penguins, and Trump just backed down. There's also insane allegations of insider trading, and my answer is yes, of course. Donald Trump tweeted out, "This is a great time to buy DJT," hours before he reversed his policy. So he knew. Donald Trump knew he was going to authorize this 90-day pause on tariffs, but he first sent out a tweet to his supporters on Truth Social telling them to go buy stocks. This is insider trading. And it's not just the tweets. Somebody massively bought call options before the tweet went out. So the tweets went out at 9:37 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and somebody minutes before the tweets started massively buying call options on QQQ, TQQQ, which is a triple leveraged ETF, and SPY. And I understand this because I understand options. So SPY is the S&P 500 ETF. It has the most call options of any ETF. 504 is the strike price. They bought at the money call options, and these were same-day call options for April 9th. As soon as Donald Trump sent out that tweet, these single-day call options went up like 2,000%. So somebody in the White House, somebody in Donald Trump's inner circle knew the tweet was coming and immediately went out and massively bought all of these call options, these single-day call options. This is the most astonishingly brazen corruption of any government in the world. Like, I don't know how you beat this. Russia is looking at what Donald Trump is doing with envy. Market manipulation, and then doing everything you can to make a fortune for yourself. So the remaining piece of the story is China. Based on the lack of respect that China has shown to the world's markets, I am hereby raising the tariff charge to China to 125%. So that's why the market is selling off again today, because these are the two largest economies in the world having a trade war. And there are Americans, there are small business owners who are about to lose anything. This is a video I saw from the TikTok channel It's Lexi Larson. I don't know if she's a Trump supporter. She could be, she could not be. But she's going to explain the disaster of Donald Trump placing 125% tariffs on China.
I have over $30,000 worth of product on a ship coming from China to the US right now. I've literally been having a panic attack all day long. I genuinely don't know what I'm going to do. I don't understand how Trump is able to just say tariffs on China are going to be over 100%. And he's not even giving any time for business owners to like make adjustments or cancel orders. Like, I paid for this product months ago and it has been on a ship for weeks. Like, I can't just on a dime say, never mind, take it back. I already paid for the fabric. I already paid to make them have the product. I just like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, is this product just going to arrive in the US and they're going to say, you owe us another $30,000 in tariffs? Because I don't have that. I don't have that. So what do? Do I send the product back? But then I don't have any product to sell, which means the business is over. And I would have to pay for shipping, which would be several thousand more dollars to send the product back to China. I just feel so angry. Like, I have worked so fucking hard to start my own business and live the American dream. And, you know, I was so burnt out in corporate America, and I just wanted to be able to do my own thing and start my own business and take a chance on myself. And now it seems like that's just over. Like, I'm just going to lose tens of thousands of dollars. I don't know what to say. I'm just
Donald Trump has screwed over millions of Americans who are in active trading with China. There are hundreds of container ships bringing over products that Americans have already paid for. And as soon as they enter a port of entry, they're now going to have to pay 124% tariff. If this woman wants the $30,000 worth of fabric she ordered from China for her business, as soon as it lands on the West Coast, she's going to have to pay $40,000 in taxes to Donald Trump to get her $30,000 worth of fabric. Her business is done. She's done. Millions of Americans, their businesses are done. This is interesting. Trump tariff shows disregard for international norms, according to Russia. Russia is publicly complaining about Trump's tariffs when they didn't even get any tariffs, because this destroys global trade. Oil prices plunged to lowest since 2021 amid US-China tariff escalation. Here's the good news, guys. The good news for everyone in the world is the price of oil keeps going down. Down another 3% today. The global price of oil is the cheapest it's been since January of 2021. Urals oil always trades at a discount, so I think the price of Urals oil today is under $50 a barrel. Russia's central bank warns falling oil prices could squeeze the budgets, and Russia's central bank chief just happened to be speaking to the State Duma yesterday, and she gave some interesting information. The head of the Bank of Russia, Nabuliana, announced preparations for a possible unfolding of a risk scenario in the global and Russian economies. Trade wars usually lead to declining global trade and perhaps falling demand for our energy resources. The risks are there, she said, adding that we always prepare for such risks. Russia's oil revenue fell 10% year on year in the first quarter to $31 billion due to the weakening price environment. So Donald Trump is so stupid. He's so incompetent. He could end up financially destroying Russia this year in response to the trade war just with China. And this is where the story gets interesting. Ukrainians engage 6 Chinese in combat and capture 2 holding Chinese passports, as well as their other documentation. Here's the video. I'll link it down below, but these are 2 Chinese citizens that were captured in the occupied territories. They were fighting in Donetsk. 4 of their comrades were killed, but 2 were taken alive. And this is a first. I've seen videos of Chinese mercenaries in the Russian military, but they were on the territory of Russia, or they weren't being used on the front lines. These guys were in a trench, being used on the front lines in the occupied territories. So Zelensky says the first 2 captured Chinese citizens. Today, investigators from the Security Service of Ukraine spoke with them. We are working to establish all the facts regarding the involvement of these and other Chinese citizens being part of the Russian occupation army. Ukrainian intelligence is also working on this matter. Why did they do it? And it's money. They're mercenaries. This is not a big mystery, guys. This Chinese soldier who was captured says he did it to get Russian citizenship. He paid $3,000 to join the Russian military. I'm assuming he's still getting a paycheck, but he joined because he wanted Russian citizenship. He wanted out of China. And given there's over 1 billion people in China, yeah, I imagine a couple of them want to leave and are even willing to go to Russia. Now, according to Ukrainian intelligence, over 160 Chinese nationals are currently fighting for Russia in Ukraine. What does China have to say about that? Beijing rejects the groundless claims that more Chinese people are fighting in the Ukraine war. The Chinese side is verifying relevant information with the Ukrainian side, according to China's foreign minister. Honestly, 160 seems low. I would have assumed it was more Chinese citizens who have found their way to Russia to sign up and fight for their ally. So we have an interesting opportunity, both with Donald Trump and with Russia and China. Here is a video of Roman Kostenko. He is the Secretary of Defense Committee Chairman for Ukraine's parliament. And this is what he has to say about China. If there is a country that is silent now, it is China. It has a drone war in its hands right now. They can either terminate it by ceasing to supply components for drones to both Russia and Ukraine, or give preference to one side of the parties. Tomorrow, just imagine they say, that's it, we don't want to supply Russia, only Ukraine. We do not need any more weapons. We will immediately gain an advantage on the battlefield and regain our territories. And this is an advantage. And we are all talking about the United States, but the key is in the hands of China. This is true. China, for their own profits, is supplying drone and other materials to both Ukraine and Russia. And if China wanted this war to end, they could either cut off the supply to both countries, or they could cut off the supply just to Russia. And that would be the end of the war. The Russians wouldn't be able to carry on without Chinese manufacturers providing them with parts and equipment. So here's the opportunity, guys. I want to reveal to you my new strategy. For the last 3 years, we've been trying to get an economic collapse of Russia to trigger a political revolution to end the war. But what if we instead focused on China? Donald Trump with these 125% tariffs, we don't have to ask why this is bad for the United States, but what if the democratic worlds this week all ganged up on China and we applied crippling tariffs? I mean, Trump doesn't like the word sanction, but we'll all do tariffs. And we said the tariffs are not coming off until China stops supplying drone equipment to Russia. Until China applies pressure on the Russians to end this war. It would work. And even if it doesn't work, if the Communist Party refused to apply pressure to Russia, we could just leave the tariffs in place until the Chinese economy collapses. Disastrous for the world economy. I'm not saying this would be great for the United States or Europe. But what if we just triggered a political revolution in China to then cause chaos and a political revolution in Russia? This is a possibility. It's not Donald Trump's intention, but he could accidentally trigger all this. This is a crazy idea. I'm not going to harp on this, but I just want to toss it out there. If there are any European countries or Australia or Canada or whoever who also want to slap on 125% tariffs on China until China forces Russia to end this war. Let's get to the bad news for Russia. Ukrainian strike obliterates Russian command post in occupied Kherson. There's a video, I'll link it down below. Russia lost about 20 to 30 personnel in this command post strike. According to General Syrskyi, Ukrainian military has hit a Russian long-range bomber worth $100 million with a drone. This is a Russian Tupolev 22 M3. There's no pictures or videos, but it's probably accurate. Ukraine probably destroyed or damaged this aircraft. Russia's only TV manufacturer discontinues production. Your TV exports are weak, Russia. They're weak. All right, good news for Ukraine. Belgium pledges $1 billion annual military aid and signs a defense production deal. Thank you so much to the fantastic people of Belgium. Czechia sends its final T-72 tank to Ukraine, leaving itself short. So I'm guessing this is the last Soviet-era tank that Czechia still had, but thank you for supplying it to Ukraine. EU is transferring a new $1 billion tranche for Ukraine, covered by frozen Russian assets. Thank you so much to the EU, and hopefully Ukraine can buy some American weapons with this money. Final video I have for you is the Prime Minister of Belgium. He visited Ukraine, and he and President Zelensky once again visited the Wall of Heroes to honor the fallen. Continue supporting Ukraine. Russia will be defeated. That's all for this update video. Glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. If you found this video informative, give me a thumbs up. Best way to support the channel. Comments and questions, let me know down below. I love hearing from you guys. Till the next video, keep defending the truth, keep defending democracy.